And one of the simplest ways to sort of put them together, and again, there are a lot of exceptions and overlaps, is that psychotherapy is dealing with sort of the pre-rational up to the rational, or the pre-personal up to the personal. And spirituality takes the personal into the transpersonal. Psychotherapy looks at the formation of an ego, a healthy ego, and in spirituality looks at transcending that ego. And there's a sort of an understanding that you kind of have to do both of those, that you have to be somebody before you can be nobody, you have to develop an ego before you can transcend it, and so on. And then if you don't do both of those, then something goes wrong. So that's kind of a quick pass at it. But there's a great deal of overlap in terms of what psychotherapy does and what spirituality does. And particularly one of the main practices of many forms of psychotherapy is simply bringing awareness to bear on your interior.
Get over the inertia of trying to get my thoughts out and build up some momentum. Maybe I should read some from Ken Wilbe's book. A brief history of everything, about some of what he says about as the self steps up to each new rung and expanding awareness, the faces that 1, 2, 3 process at each rung. And something can't go wrong at any of those subphases. In the fusion subphase, the differentiation subphase, the integration subphase. The self can remain in fusion or remain stuck at that stage. We have a fixation, the subphase 1 problem. Or the self can fail in the differentiation or subphase 2 of that fulcrum. It can fail to differentiate cleanly and clearly, and so it fails to establish a responsible boundary at that level. Or the self can fail in the integration or subphase 3 of the fulcrum. It doesn't integrate and include the previous level, but it alienates and dissociates and represses it. It doesn't transcend and include, it dissociates and represses. Once this accident occurs, we get a subphase malformation at any level. Then this pathology forms a lesion in consciousness. It tends to infect and distort all subsequent development. Like a grain of sand caught in a developing pearl, a malformation crinkles all subsequent layers, tilts and twists and distorts. There are now aspects of the self's being that it doesn't own or admit or acknowledge. It starts to hide from itself. In other words, the self begins lying to itself. A false self system begins to grow over the actual self. The self that is really there at any given moment, but is now denied or distorted or repressed. Repression basically is being untruthful about what is actually running around in your psyche, and thus the personal unconsciousness begins its career. This unconsciousness is in part the locus of the self's lie. As we earlier put it, the aspects of awareness are split off. Little blobs, little cells, little subjects are forced into subterranean dark. These blobs remain at the level of development they had when they were split off and denied. They cease to grow. They remain in fusion with that level where they are repressed. They hide out in the basement, and the door to that basement is guarded by the lie. So aspects of your potential are sealed off by the dissociation, begin eating up your energy and your awareness. They are drained. They sabotage further growth and development. They are dead weight, the weight of a past age that should have been outgrown, but instead protected and sheltered by the lies that live on to terrorize. In interpretive therapies, Freudian to Jungian to Gestalt to cognitive, they attack the lie, yes, in all the ways that we already discussed. as we run through the stages of expanding awareness, we want to watch these focus for anything that can go wrong, because that is what actually prevents the emergence of global awareness. And I can relate to that, since I did see a lot of that in Chris, and I saw a lot of it myself. I can see it more clearly than ever, because I don't know, how much I was looking myself on there, but hopefully, talking out this and can get at those parts. Especially since one of the problems I seem to have is with my self-image, and the surprise I see by looking in the mirror that just seem to be me, and coming to terms with that. Hopefully talking out stuff like this will help.